Beautiful spot. Oh, he just... Yeah. Wow, this is fantastic. Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. I'm Alex and I am the Wandering Englishman. Have you ever wondered what it's like to go on a boating trip on the River Thames? Well, wonder no more, because this is exactly what I did and I made a video just for you. First of all, a big thank you to my friend Bob. Bob is the captain behind this boat. Without Bob, this video would not exist. So you can thank him or blame him for the fact that this video now exists. Bob, Graham and Mark and myself, we began our journey in a little town called Weybridge. Weybridge is a town by the River Wey, hence the name Weybridge, in the Elmbridge district of Surrey. There's a lot of bridges in this part of the world. Not quite Venice, very picturesque nonetheless. Certainly a place that people who've made it like to live. It is bounded to the north by the River Thames at the north of the Wey, and that's the river that we're literally entering now. So I believe this part is the River Wey. When we get to the next dock, it becomes the River Thames. However, Bob will probably be able to correct me on that one and tell me I've been on the Thames the whole time. Weybridge is about 16 miles southwest of central London. If you're a fan of H.G. Wells, which I am, you'll remember from his incredibly famous novel, The War of the Worlds, published in 1897. Weybridge was the location of the battle in which the Martian fighting machine was destroyed. Basically, Weybridge gave us hope. The title of chapter 12 of the book was titled, What I Saw of the Destruction of Weybridge and Shepperton. Shepperton being a little bit further away from Weybridge and famous for Shepperton Studios. The battle also featured in the track the artillerymen and the fighting machine, from Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds. Very 1970s music, because it did come out in 1978. Weybridge was popular with two of the former Beatles. John Lennon and Ringo Starr both lived in Weybridge for short periods of time over their lifetimes. So you can understand it's a nice area to live. But this video isn't about Weybridge. This video is about boating on the Thames. By European standards, the river is seemingly insignificant. At only 215 miles, that's 346 kilometers to our European friends who think in kilometers, from source to mouth, it is not only dwarfed by the major waterways of the continent, but it's not even the longest river in the United Kingdom. The River Severn is actually the longest river in the United Kingdom, covering a distance of 220 miles, so that's 5 miles longer than the River Thames, if you really care. Nevertheless, its location has ensured that it has held unparalleled importance to the country, as it flows through key places of national influence, such as the University City of Oxford to the west, past the Royal Castle of Windsor, past Weybridge, which we are now, past Hampton Court, which we will go to later in this video, and then on to the capital in London, before getting to the tidal section in the east, where you get to the Thames estuary and then effectively the sea. So here we are, we're on the lock. This is our first lock of the day, and we're on Bob's boat. Bob's very happy about his boat. This is fantastic. This is, I highly recommend this. If you've got a mate called Bob, who's got a boat, get yourself on the Thames, because this is fantastic. Yeah. See, right now we're going lower, and then we're going to be able to set forth that way. It is not without reason it has been dubbed the shortest famous river in the world, as Clarkson would say. Effectively, it's an open-air museum of English culture and even liquid history. There we go. Out of the lock.
Jeff, right? Cheers, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. This definitely is the River Thames. The water on the River Thames has been utilised by settlers since the Paleolithic times, and there is an ongoing discussion about how the complex processes of silting, geomorphological change, and human intervention impacted its use. Although widespread canal building, mainly in coastal areas, occurred in Britain during the Roman times.
So, little quiet part of the Thames that we're making very noisy, like teenage boys. And
in reality, we are only going 5 miles per hour, and this is a little bit of a stretch of the river where there's no one living until we get to the bit here and then we slow down.
that is some good pace, isn't it?
Cool. Yeah. Look at the waves.
I bet everyone does that. Taking out their mark. Apparently not allowed to speed on the Thames, but
By the 11th century, the Thames was an important transport artery, as is shown by the network of landing places, what the English refer to as hives, and saltways that punctuated it, as well as artificial channels that were built for trade on or by it. Most notably, the section by Abington, dug in the 1050s to bypass a section of the river that was difficult to navigate.
grey clouds, but it's a really warm day. It's quite nice. Got the beers out. The Hoff's moaning.
Over the years, boats would have been used for local and long-distance transportation, and it's through that the medieval heyday of the latter, which would have been much cheaper than travelling by road, was between 1100 and 1300. Certain carrying goods like grain, wool, cloth and minerals were transported to London, presumably not just goods but also passengers.
It's strange, this little part of the Thames is all derelict and not much is going on. But just maybe 200 metres back that way, houses are about 1.2, 1.5 million. Head up this way, of course, and then we start getting into the multi-millions. But in this part here, derelict.
Back in the day when the English land was a little unruly, the Thames was actually a contested resource. Mill owners, boat operators and fishermen all wanted to use the water for different purposes. Local populations also needed to be able to cross the waterways on fjords, ferries and bridges. Indeed, from 1100 onwards, the buildings of new bridges and causeways also altered the physical appearance of the Thames. Furthermore, these human activities could be affected by natural processes like drought and flooding. The latter could have had a damaging effect on property, but it could also protect the river from development, thereby helping to maintain the river's appearance. A symbiotic relationship developed between the different groups using the river. Travelling by boat on the river was a slow process, as craft not only had to be towed by horses that had to evade any obstacles on land, but passing through the logs could be very dangerous. The boats had to wait for the miller to come draw with his paddles, for a fee of course, which produced a rapid release of water which enabled the boat to pass through, either by shooting through with a flow or being hauled up against the stream, once water levels were close enough to one another. The release of water could be so great that sometimes a boat operator travelling upstream had to wait a significant amount of time for the water levels to have built up again, and they would sometimes face charges from the surrounding landowners that effectively felt the river was robbing the land of their valuable water. Although the weirs are believed to have initially helped the passage of boats, they could also have potentially caused difficulties because 1, they could obstruct the river, 2, they could adversely affect the level of the water. They could be both slow and costly to pass through. Indeed, we know the former was a persistent problem, as there were recurring legal attempts to try and keep the waterway clear of obstructions from the 12th century onwards, such as the Magna Carta's injunction to clear fish from weirs from the waterway. Although control of the river was sold by the Crown to the City of London in 1197, there was no effective management of the river above Staines, where the new jurisdiction extended to. That's Ali G's hood, just in case you're curious. Furthermore, the number of weirs on the river above Henley grew to such a number that it became increasingly time-consuming and less cost-effective to travel on it. This led, of course, to a spiral of decay and eventually led to the section between Oxford and Burcop becoming unnavigable for larger craft by the end of the 16th century. Fast forward 400 years and on this reasonably sunny day, I found myself on this very nice speedboat. Although it must be noted that you can only go up to 5 miles per hour on the Thames, so the roofless boat should really be defined as a leisure boat.
See, the strange thing is, it's very easy to cycle along the Thames, but to go down the Thames like this is a little bit more complicated, and then you get to appreciate these boats, these house places.
The boats and the houseboats to the left here are home to people all year round, in fact. Some people only live on them during the summer months, but some people actually stay on this little island all year round. It can get a little bit chilly in the winter. But as you'll see from that man, it's a popular place to do a water sport like that. The next stage along the river is Hampton Court. Now, the beautiful Hampton Court Palace is a Grade 1 listed royal palace in the London borough of Richmond upon Thames, 12 miles southwest and upstream from central London on the River Thames. The building of the palace began in 1515 for the Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, a favourite of King Henry VIII. Although in 1529, as Wolsey fell from favour, the Cardinal gave the palace back to the King to avoid his head being chopped off. The palace went on to become one of Henry's most favoured residences. Soon after acquiring the property, he arranged for it to be enlarged so that it might more easily accommodate his sizable gang of courtiers. Along with St James's Palace, it is one of the only 2 surviving palaces out of the many the King owned. The palace is currently in the possession of the wonderful Queen Elizabeth II. God save our Queen.
That's good. So right behind us is Hampton Court Palace. We head in that direction, you get to sort of Hampton Court Maze, Hampton Court Palace itself. Line it up right down the river. Interesting. Just bumps into an old friend going the other way. Well, Phil, Neil and Ian, good to see you guys.
Today, the palace is open to the public and a major tourist attraction. And if you don't have Bob to park your boat up by the side of the Thames, you can reach the palace via train from Waterloo Station.
Just go to each one.
So just moored up next to Hampton Court, had a lovely lunch on the boat. This is a fantastic little boat. And what a marvellous day out. If you get the chance and you've got a friend like Bob to take you down the Thames, I can't recommend it enough. Very, very nice.
Or, of course, you could drive, but I recommend taking the train from central London. It's far quicker. I must say the palace is a wonderful place to visit as a child, as an adult, and maybe one day I'll make a video about it. But if you haven't experienced the palace, I urge you to, because it really is a wonder.
So obviously some of these locks are self-service. So the key is you've got to head up to the lock and then pull the right levers. Back in the day it was push, pull. Now it's a little bit more complicated. I think it's less complicated now, but let's go have a look. It could take a while, so we're gonna have to wait for the next phase. Some more boats will come this way and then they're gonna get dropped down. Then we're gonna be out here, wait for our boats. There we go.
I mean, I listen to it all. There's like techno, banging techno I like.
Beautiful swap.
And no, it's,
Oh, he just tried to eat it. He tried.
I've got to be in the right mood for it. Sometimes I'm driving or if I'm working and stuff like that.
Anything to say, Graham?
I'm having
Any insight to share to the world?
any insight? No, nothing that can be published. I'll keep it within the circles of the boat, the ground.
That makes sense. I choose not to reveal a lot of things as well.
I don't know about that. You're a foot soldier, aren't you, Alex?
Definitely not a foot soldier.
You are, you're a foot soldier.
I'm a lone gunman.
Without the foot soldiers,
So yeah, when you do 1,
Yeah, I saw you do it.
3, and then you split the rope in half like that. So you're holding onto that one side, then you throw it, and then it will go straight over.
As we head back to Weybridge, I was reminded on the journey back that Hampton Court is home to the world's largest vine. The huge grapevine located on the palace grounds is apparently the world's largest grapevine. And the Hampton Court maze is possibly one of the most celebrated English mazes in all of England and possibly in the world. I remember having a lot of fun there as a child, running around the maze, trying to find my way to the centre and try to get out eventually. Almost similar but less scary to the maze in The Shining. Classic film by Stanley Kubrick. They really don't make movies like that anymore. That has to be said, possibly one of the scariest horror movies ever. Neck and neck with that one will probably be Alien, the original. But what an amazing film. As we're coming to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you're interested in going on a boat tour similar to this, there are multiple boat tours that you can find up and down the Thames. I'll put links in my blog. My blog can be found at thewanderenglishman.com. Go check that out if you're curious about what boat tours you might be able to arrange for yourself. Obviously, you won't have the pleasure of having Captain Bob with you. He's a busy man and he's not a full-time captain on this river.
2, and then you throw it like holding onto this one. 3 like that, and then it just goes over the middle. That makes sense.
Makes sense, Bob. We got there in the end.
But if you do see him, make sure you wave to him and shout Captain Bob. Other than that, I can't recommend it enough. If you like this content, there's plenty more content like this on the channel. So far I've made over 300 videos. Some of them are slightly different to this, some are very similar to this. But no matter where I go, I will try to always make a video, something along these lines. Also, if you're not a fan of the recent history lessons I've started to include in my videos, do tell me. I'm always trying to change things up in these videos, so your feedback is greatly appreciated. Do click that subscribe button and the bell notification, because a lot of people simply don't get notified in my videos. And also, if you have the urge to share these videos, that would really help, because the YouTube algorithm does not like my channel at all. The video that I did on the word that shall not be named, but it was on a protest recently, was shadow banned. I think because of the content of the protest.
Well, that was the day on the boat, going up and down the Thames. Incredible. What did you guys think? Good times? Thank you, Bob.
Welcome.
There we go. It was an amazing day. Thank you very much.